again. This is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to another edition of Copeland's Corner here on the Copeland's Corner Network. This is Headliners on the Headlines. Today we are joined by comics Yaini Ababa, Carlos Alazraqui, and what do I call you? Do I call you comic impresario aside from
Lord Tom Sawyer? Lord. I am Lord Tom.
Lots to get to today, so let's go ahead and start with this. Just read this. Joe Walsh, who was a MAGA congressman at one point. He's now a former MAGA
and guitarist for the Eagles.
Since the last year, Rocky Mountain Way.
He says, in response to his thoughts on the first 100 days of the Trump administration, he said that the second 100 days are going to be worse. And he tweeted out, quote, "Remember, we elected a very stupid, cruel, ignorant human being. The second 100 days will be worse." All right, we'll start with that. Agree or disagree? Because the first 100 days have been pretty shitty.
Oh, absolutely.
I sort of agree because the complicity level has also doubled. You know, it's just getting the adoration and the adulation has surpassed Jim Jones. They would not only drink the punch, they would mix the punch.
Yeah.
I'm making my own punch that's going to kill me. So, yeah, I agree with Joe Walsh. I think it is going to get worse, rather, as his dementia and his sociopathic behavior gets worse.
Well, the other thing is the only thing that could possibly slow it down is, and you're starting to see little bitty cracks, especially on Fox when you have Laura Ingraham saying, "Well, most of the people think this is going to be bad, except for the base and and some other folks." But and they're starting to admit things. It's like coming out. It's like, and like I said before, and I keep saying, you can keep telling people everything's all right, but if there's a guy right behind them hitting him in the head with a frying pan every 5 minutes, it's hard to listen when you're feeling the pain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, go ahead, Yaini.
I was going to say, his cognitive decline it's getting worse. Like I watched a news conference with him today, and it was pretty bad. And when he was with the Canadian Prime Minister, and I think that that's what's going to make it worse, because he's freaking out about his ratings, or whatever you call it, the polls.
His polls, yes,
like
poll number.
34%. Is that right?
Well, he's got a net decline of 33% over the course of the last 90 days. 30.
Yeah,
I mean, that's huge.
It's
That's
the
a
Freudian
third.
slip. I think you're right. Is it pronounced Yaini?
Yaini.
I think you're right. It is ratings to him.
Yanye. Does she plays a pan flute? Yanye.
Yaini. But I think you're right. Because you thought you had slipped and said ratings. I think he views it as ratings and not poll numbers.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And he is freaking out because he's attacking anyone that's putting out bad polls, right? He can't handle that the public is just going after him. They're going after his bae, Elon, and the combination of my mother had what Robin Williams had, right? And so at the end, the dementia was so bad that she was very aggressive and very confused. And if she didn't get what she wanted, she was really aggressive. Like, it was really hard to get her to chill out.
Okay, now imagine her with the nuclear codes.
Exactly. And so I see that, like, cognitive decline, the same that I saw in my mom as her disease progressed. And it's scary that he has the nuclear code. So I think he's going to double down on the crazy in order to keep control. And I honestly believe that his birthday parade is going to be the tipping point, because the veterans have something planned. There's counter protesters. They're asking people not to go to the parade at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to hit his ego so hard, and he's going to freak out.
Well, remember, he talked about this the last time too. He wanted to do it the last time. People were going, "No, that's too that's too North Korean,
un-American."
You do that. Well, Eisenhower even said. Eisenhower said that when asked whether or not America would ever have a parade like that, he goes, "No, because it makes us look weak." To have a parade where we parade down missiles down, down Madison Avenue makes the country look weak.
There's going to be a big banner of my bone spur. They're going to put it right over the podium so people will know that it's real. I said on Stephanie Miller today, he keeps lying on top of lying on top of lying.
Wait. I don't want you to mention Stephanie Miller's show on this podcast again, unless you're going to mention my show on Stephanie Miller.
I do. I said I've been on Brian Copeland's podcast. I share the love.
Go ahead.
Okay. In another show that I frequent on. But no, he's just going to double up on the lies until he just changes the rule and an executive order for everything. I said it's going to get to the point where new rules for golf. There's new rules. It's now forever going to be the most strokes of the hole wins. Whoever has the highest score, and I have the highest score at my club, it's the new golf rules. We're changing it to high golf, okay? Just like that's all he does. He changes the parameters to fit his decline.
Yeah, he moves the goalpost. Well, let me ask you. Let me stop you guys for a second and ask you this. He is getting crazier and crazier, and the only way really to remove him will be the 25th Amendment, which means that the vice president is the one who's got to kick it in. And do you honestly think that the 25th Amendment would ever, no matter how crazy he gets, that anybody will have the testicular fortitude to try to invoke it? Knowing that how his base is. And knowing that anybody who attacks him has attacked his base, are they just going to let him get crazier and crazier until he pushes the button, which wouldn't surprise me, not in the least.
I'll tell you what will change the game, and he's getting closer all the time. The MS-13 thing with the Photoshop,
with the Photoshop
was one of those things. And again, I want to punch everybody in the media in the face, because that guy should have, yes, show me the picture. You show me the picture right now, and I'll explain to you, like I do my 93-year-old mother, how that's photoshopped.
Mm-hmm. Well, but hang on a second. Let's be fair. I thought Terry Moran and most media watchers thought that Terry Moran did first of all, that it was a complete and total waste of time. Let's start with that, because they weren't going to get anything, and that there's no point in having an interview with Trump because you're not going to get anything.
Trying to candy coat it.
But here's the thing. They say he did the best possible job given those circumstances. And if he'd gotten to a pissing match over that Photoshop with Trump, that would have been the end of that would have been the whole rest of the interview.
I don't think he needed to go in the degree of a pissing match, but how about the degree of talking to him like he's a child without trying to walk that line about being condescending? Let me explain to you how that's photoshopped. Yep. Kind of thing.
And you think he would have shut up and listened to him go through that?
Well, he would have done what he was doing, which was great, which was Trump was going, why can't you just admit I'm right? And we'll move on.
Because he did have an interviewer show him a graph that the graph was upside down. I remember that classically. Mr. President, here, look at these numbers. Mr. President, you have that upside down. But still, look at the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, who had a guy who drew on a map?
Gone on with it. I would have extended it.
To change a hurricane with a Sharpie, the direction of a hurricane. Come on.
But it reminded me of when my mom was really bad, and I was like, Mommy, you can't have that. She was like, you're real nasty. You know that? And that's exactly what it reminded me, where I was just like, oh, he is on his way down. And because he gets confused, like the Meet the Press interview, right? I don't know if y'all watched that.
No, I didn't see that. Why?
Okay, so he got real confused with Kristen, who is soft serving him all these questions, and is like, but I'm trying to normalize you. I'm trying to make you look like a real person. And he was like, you're so dishonest. If you would only why can't you ask nice questions? Why can't, and he was like, I want questions that make me look glorious, like I'm Caesar or something. Like his cognitive decline is making it so that he's just like, I can't handle all this negative stuff. I need to be in my happy place, just like a child, like a toddler.
Well, why do you think they chose the press, the White House press corps? Why do you think they tried to handpick because he doesn't want to be asked anything that he doesn't want to answer or can't answer.
I will answer your question, though. I think if the 25th Amendment gets invoked, the person that's going to take him out is Melania. Look, you're dumb, you're saying stupid things, you're all out of money. And she's going to speak basilisk to the snakes, going, and these giant pythons are going to carry him away into the garden. No more money, you're gone. Take him away.
Is that why Witch Talk isn't working?
Yeah.
Because she's like the master, like sorceress who's got like the ultimate Egregon spell cast around him. That's like.
And can somebody please tell me why there is not more media coverage and more outrage from at least the Democratic side of the aisle in Congress over the violations of the Emoluments Clause? It's ridiculous. I read this morning that he's a crypto billionaire. Yeah, he's a Bitcoin billionaire. You know, you should
for the Qatar deal.
Pardon?
From the Qatar deal, you mean, or in general, and from the other
in general for all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, with the Bitcoin and the Qatar deal. But we tried that in his first administration.
It's Qatar. By the way, it's Qatar. It's pronounced Qatar.
Qatar.
It's
not. Well, my Indian friend says Qatar, so what do I know?
I would say what Trump has shown us, and we're only going to have a small window to really change it. And unfortunately, we only have a small window for the Democratic Party to get its shit together, because it's almost ludicrous how just in shambles it is right now. We need to stop with the norms and stop actually and start with laws. I mean, to me, like, the DOJ should have nothing whatsoever to do with the executive branch whatsoever. We see why that doesn't work. You know, it should be a branch. It should be like its own branch of government in a way. Like the Supreme Court doesn't listen to, the House or the Senate or or mostly the executive branch. The DOJ needs to be its own. It shouldn't be led by any political party. It's the same reason why we shouldn't have any political party draw up any congressional maps anywhere in the country, because it leads to corruption every time.
It needs to be an evenly split bipartisan commission that is unelected. That is exactly what I said. And what you said, and in fact, I did an interview about an hour ago with Congressman Eric Swalwell for a new segment that's going to be on the network called Conversations with Copeland, where I'll talk to political people and people in culture and entertainment. 20 minutes, just a short piece. And one of the things that we were talking about was, in terms of the DOJ, is that Kash Patel has, as you probably know, has an enemies list. He's got an actual enemies list of people who are targeted, they're going after. And Swalwell, you got one too. Thank you, Ms. Nixon, with the weed. Thank you, Mrs. Nixon. But Swalwell says he's number one and Schiff is number two. And we talked about this big LA Times article on what his life is like because of the fact that MAGA hates him so much and the fact that he's number one on that list. And he told me he gets a death threat a day for him and his family. And that they have to have extra security that they have to pay for. The Capitol Police don't pay for it because the Capitol Police, they don't have the budget. So it comes out of money that they would be using for reelection and other things to pay for the security. And so it's almost, like it's a plot to drain their resources so they can't mount an effective campaign for reelection because they got to spend all this money. Well, he's got a wife, he's got 3 little kids. Yeah. And the fact that they're getting death threats every day, which means, plus he's worried about all of his staffers who have to, are sitting in places with his name, on the door or his name in the area. It's I just never thought I would live in a country like this.
He's the poor artistic kid that got beat up in the Texas bathroom, and now he needs the bully squad to come to his school and protect him, Yeah. He needs a GoFundMe for security. I think you're right. That's the ploy, honestly, to drain the resources.
For me, this has been a slow moving train. Every time since Reagan, we've had cries of we're on the road to fascism, and then everyone has gotten progressively worse than the last president. And when Trump got elected, and we set all these new things that used to be disqualifiers into no longer being disqualifiers. Mm-hmm. Like, I still don't even understand how the conversation doesn't stop with adjudicated sexual assaulter and self-confessed sexual assaulter. It should end there.
I'll tell you why it doesn't end, because of the fact that ABC pays $15 million for saying it. They said
they
libel
chose to
suit.
pay $15 million. They could every law person I've ever seen on any show, right, left, or center, has said that ABC just paid the money to have access to Trump.
Of course they did. I mean, it would have been kicked out of court in a second. It would have been bounced in an absolute second. And so 60 Minutes, it goddamn better would not cave. They had better not cave on it. They will have zero credibility.
I think Tom's right. You've normalized behavior that becomes acceptable now. The famous ending of The Dead Zone is Christopher Walken takes a shot with a rifle and Martin Sheen grabs a baby, and it's on the cover of Newsweek, and that's the end of him. That wouldn't be the end of Trump if he was shot at and grabbed a baby. He was like, did you see how I rescued the baby? I grabbed it. I put it in front of my face because I knew he wouldn't shoot. And they go, he's a hero. That literally would happen.
Yeah. No question about it. Absolutely no question about it.
No one ever, because it's all about spin.
I mean, remember how Gary Hart? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't watch CNN because as long as they have Scott Jennings on there, I don't. To me, he's like the poster boy of an ass-kissing hypocrite, a guy who they constantly bring out his quotes in op-eds he's written, and where he put down Trump for doing something, thinking that it was over, and it wasn't over. Then he goes back to kissing his ass and forgetting about everything he had just written, and I can't do it anymore. I can't pretend this guy isn't an ass kisser and is a liar and is a hypocrite. And I don't watch a lot of the media. I've turned to a lot of
podcasts. Well, they said that's the thing. They said that the Democrats won. The Democrats won all the people who listen to who read the newspaper and who watch cable news. And all the Gen Zers and the younger voters, that's exactly where they're getting their information, because they do not trust the media anymore. They don't trust the media anymore at all.
Did anybody see the Pete Buttigieg interview at that? I forget the comedian Schultz.
Did you? Fantastic.
Oh, it's great. But man, it really showed me you got four guys on there with Buttigieg, and none of them were up on anything. No. I mean, they were all vibes and all of like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. And they're like simple things that they didn't know. And it's like, you're doing a show where you had about politics, where you actually had the fucking president of the United States on, and you didn't bother to know. Yeah. You know, it's
and for God's sake, you got a staff, to do research. To do research for you.
Isn't there any part of you that gets embarrassed about finding out things later on, that like Joe Rogan saying, I didn't vote for Walsh because he was he's a liar. Tim Walsh was a liar. He lied about being head coach. And if you Google it for 1 second, you'll find out he never said ever in any quote anywhere that he was head coach of the high school football team. By
the way, did you see this story today that one of the I forget what the position the gentleman holds at Meta is, but announced yesterday that they are just about done dismantling all of the fact-checking apparatus for Facebook, for Instagram, and for Threads. Yeah. And so there will be no fact-checking. And Zuckerberg says that that they're going back to their roots, which is free speech and free expression. And if people want to fact check, they can go and they can do it on their own. There are plenty of resources to do that. That's scary.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of eating at a Luby's with a D rating now. It's like all the restaurants, there's no standards anymore. Oh, the food's been out for 4 days, but it's safe to eat.
It's the community notes thing that Twitter has. I don't know. I've been enjoying that Meta tells me I can't say things. It just asks me if I'm sure I want to say that. Yeah. And I said what I said. Post.
Yeah.
Getting to see you next Tuesday is gonna know.
Well, I will tell you, I do very much, like you said, Tom, on this program a number of times, and I could not agree with you more. And I hope that it happens. And that is that all of these things that we just, as far as the presidency is concerned, that we just assumed were laws, are norms. And we found out that they were never laws. Things like not being able to profit off the presidency deliberately by putting all of your assets in a blind trust. So but you're absolutely right. All those things that were normally be a great big list of everything that was a presidential norm before we let this orange nitwit in office and make them federal laws.
And I'm talking about any president. I don't care what party you're with.
I don't either. No.
Yeah. No.
But no other president's ever have broken the norms like this before.
I said a long time ago, Nixon's pissed off. He was born, 20 years too early. I could have. Oh, it's not fair. All I did was invade a building in intelligence. Son of a bitch.
well, they said that if Fox News were around, Nixon would have survived Watergate, and I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
If Fox News were around, too, the converse is true. There would have been no Martin Luther King. There would have been no peaceful civil disobedience heroes at all. They would have squashed that like crazy. And as a matter of fact, they did have the FBI files on Martin Luther King.
Yeah, they did.
But somebody like that,
they had recordings of him with mistresses and sending the recordings to him threatening and to Coretta and telling him that they were going to release it to the world unless he killed himself. Hoover did that.
I have a question for everybody because I wrote something today.
Did Hoover's boyfriend do it or did Hoover send it?
Hoover was behind it. Hoover hated the civil rights movement because he believed that it was riddled with communists.
Yeah, but him using like sex secrets to go after people was like the most ridiculous thing
hypocritical, ridiculous thing.
Yeah, knowing that his deputy chief of the FBI was his boo.
But here's the thing: is that I've done a little research on that recently, and because I've heard it for years. And while there's speculation, there is no actual smoking gun. There is no actual proof that that's true.
Vibes, Brian. Or
if you got a picture of them looking at each other longingly that I haven't seen, because email it to me if you have.
I Googled it. There's some vibes. There's them sitting next to each other. You're like, yeah, no, that's a couple.
They would have quiet breakfast together and all that kind of stuff.
Wait a minute, I froze. Who's this?
Hoover.
Called quiet breakfast in their bathrobes, though.
Yeah.
matching bathrobes.
Movie.
But it was Johnson that let Hoover go. That let Hoover go after King. When Bobby Kennedy was the Attorney General, he told King to leave him alone. I told Hoover to leave King alone. But when Martin Luther King spoke out against the Vietnam War because of the fact that so many black boys were getting killed over there, that's when Johnson turned on him. Johnson, who you can arguably say next to Lincoln is the best friend that African Americans ever had in this country, because he was the one that got the Civil Rights Act passed and the Voting Rights Act. By the way, I'm reading that they want to try to gut the Civil Rights Act of '64. They're trying to repeal the 20th century. Is basically what they're trying to do.
Yeah, with the SAVE Act too. They don't want 70 million women to vote. You got to change. You change your last name to get married. Now you got to change your ID. You got to go get your birth certificate. They're trying to make it harder for women to vote because women don't like pigs like Trump. By the
way, have you guys got? This is Wednesday when we're recording this, and today's the first day that you're supposed to have with the real ID to fly. Have you guys got yours yet?
I've had mine. It's the bear with the star in it.
How long have you had yours?
Carrying, I'll cover everything else, but right there, see?
Yeah.
The bear upside down there. I've had it for a while, so I'm in the process of renewing because it expires this summer. So
I have a passport. So
I use my passport, and then I have my global entry card. I was gonna apply for a passport card, but they keep your passport and send it back with your passport card. And I am literally walking around Nashville with my passport with me at all times, just in case.
Yeah, right.
Just this weekend, they pulled over anybody with brown skin.
Wow.
That's the scary part, too. Yeah,
so they detained 150 people.
It's just so Anne Frank Nazi Germany. It's so... Because everybody says, how dare you compare these people to Nazis and to Hitler? We're not talking about Hitler's final solution. We're talking about his first 93 days or whatever. Yeah. That's what we're comparing him to.
Yeah.
Not the final product. And who knows what could happen? He
Someone's
could
gonna
end
get
up
shot.
exterminating people he doesn't like. I
Someone-
wouldn't put it past him. He's a sicko.
Well, I'll tell you this. It was in this morning's news that they are going to start using Medicare and Medicaid records to get a list of people who have autism. And what they've said is it's so that they can study autism and try to find out what causes it. I thought it was the MMR shot myself. I didn't know, but they're going to study to try to find out what causes it. So I mean that's where it starts. So let's get a list of all the people who we consider to be mentally defective in some way.
Yeah.
If that's not Hitlerian, then tell me what is.
And then we're going to do some scientific experiments.
They are. Some scientists were saying that these new
statements, like he's a eugenicist, RFK Jr. He's like the stuff he says about people with disabilities and autism and like ADHD and learning disabilities. And it's the weirdest thing. Like you eat worm-riddled roadkill and you talk like this. And you're talking about how these people are inferior. Like, do you have a mirror?
And you know what the weirdest part about it is when he says this crazy crap, he says it in a tone or in a way where he's trying to come off as being compassionate and empathetic to those poor people. You know what I mean? That's how he tries to put it across.
Yeah, but it ends up being condescending. There was one doctor that was commenting on the fact that they're going to be doing placebo testing. He goes, "We never tested like that. You don't test something and not give people what the current treatment is.
That's
to
right.
test against all these diseases and not give them anything is cruel because basically you're letting them die. The way we currently do testing is we give them what's working now against something that we think is an improvement, not nothing." Don't let just people die. So he does it. He's an environmental lawyer who visits the tanning booths 37 times a week. He's out of his mind. He's a megalomaniac. He's just another. I tell people, go back and watch the Foxcatcher movie, the documentary with John DuPont Jr., who bought a wrestling team, who bought wrestling sweats. They got fake wrestlers for him so he could win a tournament. He was a billionaire son that was never loved. That's Musk. That's Trump. That's Kennedy. His family hates him. Anybody whose family hates them becomes part of Trump's administration. They're all megalomaniacs and sociopaths.
Linda McMahon's husband. I mean, exactly the same thing.
She called it
If you've seen
A1
this-
instead of AI.
And then the brilliant thing, and yes, he did. And the brilliant thing is that the A1 Steakhouse people, they put out a release. They put out a release that they're saying, we agree every school should have A1.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, speaking of Linda McMahon, so she is been having meetings with Harvard over, Harvard is or I'm not going to say Harvard's at war with Trump. Trump's at war with Harvard. He said that there will be no federal grants given to Harvard because they're violating federal law and they're not towing the line. And he's trying to get their 501c3 nonprofit status revoked. And I read somewhere, and I cannot tell you where I read this, but I read it in more than one place, that what this is really all about is the fact that Trump is furious that one of the Obama daughters, I think, was it Malia, who graduated from Harvard, whereas Barron couldn't get in.
Oh, I love it.
So Mr. DEI, that if you're there, it's because, you're unqualified. You're there because your skin color, your gender, she got in and I believe graduated with honors, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Whereas Barron is in NYC. Barron could not get in, and it's because of the fact that the son of the president of the United States can't get into Harvard. That's why he hates him.
I would think that's
going
true.
After him.
Very punitive. I would think that's true.
Are you? I will tell you.
Vindictive.
Oh, I don't mean to do that. That's a terrible thing. Whereas I don't want to see anyone suffer, especially from a natural disaster, because it could be any of us, anywhere, at any time, be it an earthquake, a hurricane, a flood, whatever. I've got to tell you, and I'm really trying to restrain myself, that I'm really going to sound like an asshole when I say this, but I just laugh when I see Trump's response to Sarah Huckabee Sanders, when she's, trying to get federal aid because of the disasters that they've had in
Arkansas.
Arkansas, where she is the governor, and he will not give them the money that they need. People died, people's properties and lives are completely upended. They need FEMA funds in order to recover. And this woman who spouted his lies. Sorry, I'm not here.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen me either.
That's Stephanie Miller show calling for you.
Oh.
It was right there. Punchline.
Oh, hang on. This fruit's kind of long. I'm going to be grab it. But the fact that this woman spent how many years lying for that man, as an apologist, as in lying for this man. So that's how loyalty goes. I mean, nobody's been more loyal to him than she has. And here she is, the governor of a red state that voted for him overwhelmingly.
He's probably never set foot in, by the way.
Yep.
I bet that state, I bet he has, because it's one of those states that loves him so much. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And this is what I tweeted.
Our state too, because we're on the border, and also that storm hit us. So upside, I don't have to file my taxes till November 3rd. Thank you. But besides that, like, our governor here in Tennessee is like all the way up Trump's butt.
Oh yeah.
And we didn't get any help. And that storm devastated parts of Tennessee. Yeah. People, I think there's like 39 people who lost their lives. Like, it was bad.
He doesn't even say anything about it.
No. They want to keep that stuff under wraps. You know, I think Tom alluded to this too. I think I tweeted this. I said, Trump is Spirit Airlines with an Emirates paint job, and he's going to get eaten. He's going to get eaten by his own.
Yeah.
This is a crappy airline, man. My seats don't recline and I get no food. This sucks.
Great. That's so great.
Yeah, it really is. I think Tom is alluding to that. And people, like you said, they're getting a frying pan in the back of the head, because that's what you get on Spirit Airlines. You want exit row? Boom. There you go. But
you've exited.
People are getting fed up. People are gonna. There's only so much you can take. There's so many wrestling moves before you go, man, this wrestling's fake. I want my money back.
There's only so many times you can blame a guy who isn't president anymore before everybody realizes, well, it's the guy who is president. Then how come you haven't fixed that yet? Why are you working on this and not helping me?
Yep.
You know, and I'm, you know what? It's a weird thing to say, but it's been my mantra since this happened, that the only way for people to break out of this is to have the guy that's pulling the strings be exposed for what he is. And no one's there to hold him back anymore. No one's there to say, no, Mr. President, you can't do that, because we're going to all look bad and we're all going to go to jail, or we're all going to,
it's like Michael Jackson's face disappearing. Too soon?
Yeah.
Michael, stop with the surgery, dude. You have no nose left. Is that too soon? Is that too much?
Never too soon with me.
No, he didn't have a yes man. He didn't have a no man to go, Michael, stop with the surgeries.
But they all have an agenda, and that's why they're yes men. Mm-hmm. So think about it, like what's his name? Vogt, who's in charge of management of the OMB. He's one of the main architects of Project 2025. That's his agenda, right? Stephen Miller is baby, you know what, 1930s man from Germany. Goebbels. It's like he's reincarnated Goebbels. Yeah, it's like he's got his like, I want to outdo the Nazis agenda. Like, they all have these agendas. So I think they all know that this man is in cognitive decline, that he is a mess, but they think we're just going to keep him propped up for his base so we can get our stuff done.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting in terms of these polls, in terms of the polls dropping. I saw a poll that says he's actually losing support among, what they kindly call low information voters. These are voters who don't pay attention, who don't read, who barely vote, who don't know what's going on, who don't have college degrees. That has been the strength of his base, and he's losing them. And what surprises me is they say that historically Democrats got those people. I'm really surprised that those people voted for Democrats at any point.
And unfortunately, he's confusing them with the new golf league. I love the low information voting league, the golfers, the low information voting golfing league. It's great. They got all the stupidest golfers from Saudi Arabia. It's a great tournament.
Let me switch gears and go back to health for a minute. Another news story from today. The Trump administration shut down the CDC's Infection Control Committee. And what the committee did was it issued guidance about preventing the spread of disease and infections in healthcare facilities. They're the ones who set up what the guidelines are in terms of wearing masks and separating sick patients from other patients. And so what they said it was to save money, but I've had two friends die of MRSA. And in fact, one of them you guys know, Carlos and Tom, you should at least know. Remember Bill Rafferty?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how Bill died. Bill was in the hospital for something else and caught MRSA, which you can only get in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And caught MRSA, and that's what killed Bill. 10 years ago, I guess it's been, wow. It's got to be 10, 12 years ago. But so again, what's in terms of saving $1 to give rich people benefit, give rich people a tax cut? Why are you putting the nation's health and safety at risk? What's the upside to this? That's what I can't put I can't wrap my head around. Okay, I don't care how rich you are, you can still get sick. People who were rich could still have caught COVID and died from it.
This is about how he looks. Remember, he used to complain there's too much testing. If we keep testing, then the numbers of COVID are going to be high. He kept saying that.
Yeah.
Stop the testing, like that was going to cure COVID. It wasn't going to cure COVID. It was going to cure how it looked in America.
Yeah.
The numbers wouldn't be as high as other countries. So I think that this is about his egos, because measles is on the rise, right? There's 900 cases?
Probably up to 900, yeah.
And that high, I haven't seen that.
And the bird flu, is it the bird flu? I thought
the bird flu is, there's not a human case yet, but they expect it to jump, and they have either cut the funding or disbanded the organization that would have worked on a vaccine for bird flu. So if we had bird flu, it's going to make COVID look like a Sunday school picnic.
I think it has jumped to some veterinarians that have contracted it in caring for these animals. Wow. That's what I read, and I could be wrong. But I freak out about it. I have a cat, and I'm out all the time with my dog walking, and then I'm a germaphobe. So I'm spraying everything on my shoes with Lysol. I wipe down my dog's paws before we go in the house. Yeah. Because if my cat dies, I'm going to burn it all down.
How is it spread? It's not easily spread. It's not like like COVID where it's spread through the air.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know. You should have seen during COVID. I was a mess. If people tried to pet my dog, I threatened them with violence. I'm not good with this.
Oh, I was Howard Hughes. I was getting apples from the store and then washing them with Palmolive dishwashing liquid before I ate them. Seriously.
And that's why I don't have sex with birds, because it's foul.
Yeah.
But this cutting of funding to the CDC smells a lot like the Dickey Amendment and what the NRA did with the CDC with guns were being studied as a disease at the CDC. And then the Dickey Amendment said, hey, we're finding out too much stuff, so we got to cut funding to the study of guns at the CDC. And it feels like, to save face, to make it look like not that many people were dying of guns. It wasn't endemic. It doesn't need to be studied anymore because it's just mental health. So this feels a lot like that. It is, as you said, Brian, to save face. And as you said, I want to say this right, Yaini. Alice Rocky can't pronounce Yaini. There's some irony. Yaini. But it's like you say, it's just wanting to save face. It's wanting to look good. It's wanting to keep the numbers down. And again, it's all, as you said at the very beginning, it's all about not poll numbers, but ratings. He had a show called The Apprentice. Right. That worked for him where he could control everything. I'll say this, you do this, you get the cameras cuts, show my kids, get them off, show me, I say you're fired, I look great, everybody else looks stupid.
That's not how it works. That's not how it worked. They told him what to say. He didn't tell anybody what to say.
Okay, good. Whatever. Yeah, they're probably telling him what to say now.
It's worse than that. They told him what to say. And when you listen to the people who worked on The Apprentice, those who have come forward and who have talked, and the only ones who come forward and talked are high-level executives who were there and part of the creation of that show, who are now retired.
And their
pensions are vested. They've cashed in their stock options, and nothing can happen. And the stories are fascinating because they're saying that the reason that Trump got that gig was because they went to real successful billionaires, and guess what they said? I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to do this. I'm running companies. I'm running corporations. I'm a billionaire because I'm working. And
Right.
Trump had the time because he had nothing. They say they had like Trump steaks and crap like that going on, but he had nothing of any consequence going on. And real billionaires, real successful billionaire business people, he was a joke. They had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
They said that the officers at Trump Tower, that boardroom, that they used on, and I've still never seen the show. And Bezos needs to be slapped for kissing his butt by putting that, by streaming all however many seasons that is, and then give him Melania $40 million for the rights to document it. Can we kiss his butt any farther?
Yeah.
Any polyps up there, Jeff? While you're up there looking around, but they had to redo the boardroom because the boardroom. You all right?
Oh yes, I just got the worst visual after you said that.
A mushroom penis makes a hell of a pop when it leaves your mouth.
There are kids watching.
Ooh, caress me down.
They had to redo the boardroom because the boardroom was so old and 70s tacky and worn and scratched on the wall. It was all a facade, and so many of the morons in this country believed that it was real.
Yeah. Just like they believe like a 6-time bank a guy's gone bankrupt 6 times is a business genius.
Yeah.
Well, it's what it's like. It's amazing the power of television, and this is a God's honest true story. Gilligan's Island. Over the 4-year run, there was 3 or 4 years that Gilligan's Island ran. Maybe it was just 3 that Gilligan's Islands ran. The National Guard, the Coast Guard, and the Navy literally got tens of thousands of letters over the course of the run of that show from viewers going, "Why don't you rescue these poor people?
Yeah.
Why don't you rescue these poor people?" And they were right back and go, "There's a laugh track."
They
As
can
Kevin
explain to
Cataoka
him, look, they're already dead. It was found footage.
Yeah. As Kevin Cataoka used to famously say, the Flintstones is filmed, has a laugh track. Is anybody stupid enough to believe the Flintstones is filmed in front of a live audience?
Yeah. It's really amazing.
Flintstones.
We have become idiocracy.
Yes. I'd never seen that movie until the first Trump presidency. And
but yes,
that's exactly what we've become.
Cutting funding to anything that has to do with research or hospital safety is obviously it's scary. I mean, we can joke about it, but it's really frightening.
It's frightening.
Well,
especially
it's also
to
frightening because we have been on top of just about everything for decades because of our research. Because in just the fact that our billionaire class doesn't seem to understand what we all knew here going into this last election was if this guy gets elected again, it's anti-education, it's anti-smart, it's anti-everything because he wants to be the smartest guy in the room. So his idea is to dumb everybody down, not for him to pick up a book, but for him to dumb everybody down.
But you talked about it earlier, Tom. It started with Reagan and famous clips of Zappa talking about theocracy and about how it's going to take over. But it was Reagan, I think, who made universities used to be affordable and that everybody could go. And Reagan realized that Republican base needs to be stupid. We cannot win with educated voters. Therefore, we're going to make universities harder and more expensive to get into. And that started with Reagan.
Reagan was the first one to show cognitive decline while in office.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing about the South is it's been stupid for centuries. Their idea is keep white people stupid. And that's why the red states are the worst in education, the worst in the life expectancy, the worst in child poverty, the worst in they check about every single box, and that's what they want the rest of the country to be.
Is it racism or is it classism?
It's both.
Yeah,
it's both. Yeah,
it's both. Here in Tennessee, like these people don't realize that they are the worst in everything. They don't realize.
Go Vols.
I told someone, I was like, like California basically funds the state of Tennessee. And they're like, no, they don't. And I broke it down for them. And they were like, I had no idea. They thought that these red states are contributing.
Mm-hmm. That they're not taker states.
That they're not taker states, that everyone else is taking from them.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea. They don't know. They don't even understand how government works. They don't understand how a bill is made. They don't understand that an executive order does not immediately become a law. Like, they don't understand any of it. They think the president can do whatever he wants. He has absolute power like a king. They don't understand how the Constitution works.
Well, that's
like,
why
they are living in la la land.
Yeah, all the red states are all the places where if you're a grifter, that's where you go. If you're a grifter preacher, if you're a grifter, insurance guy, if you're a grifter politician, all of these guys like that Senator Kennedy asshole from Louisiana, who is actually a Rhodes Scholar and pretends he's Foghorn Leghorn.
He's a Rhodes Scholar?
What?
Yeah.
He's a Rhodes Scholar? I didn't know that.
He's a roadkill scholar. Good night, folks.
He went to Oxford. Is that where he went?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and this is all in that. I just tell you right now, the whole of
He's
that.
got a petticoat junction kind of weird kind of sounding Sam Drucker almost.
Yeah, I don't
You
like
are
this chick. You
dating
got a
yourself.
roster for me somewhere?
I don't know. There's all these people believe that RFK is going to show up to a tailgate in Tennessee at the Vols game and just go, oh, you need to eat fries made of lard and you should be eating nutritional. Get the hell out of here, boy. It's a tailgate, man. We're eating burgers and grease. Get the hell out of here with your nutrition stuff. Like the country's going to turn healthy because of RFK.
As he walks away, they're going to be like, he's Maha. He's going to make America healthy again. Make America healthy again. Maha.
I had to remind somebody that I know really closely
He's
that.
tell me what to eat, but he's going to tell everybody else.
Yeah, I'll meet you at the Waffle House in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to tell somebody that I know really well about it. Oh, he was saying Robert F. Kennedy, blah, blah, blah. He wants to bring health back to schools. I go, that's what Michelle Obama was saying and got lambasted for it.
Yep.
Yeah, from the right.
There's nothing new.
It's our freedoms you're dealing with.
Yeah.
The Democrats want to control everything and tell us what to eat and blah, 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 blah. I got a question for you. Maybe Carlos, maybe you know this, being down in L.A. Robert Kennedy Jr., of course, is married to Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I did some improv with her on Reno.
Did you?
Yeah, had a couple good scenes.
And for my understanding of her was that she was always progressive, and I believe she still is. And I'm wondering if she's getting any blowback from this at all.
Yeah, she used to date,
Principato
Young. So she was married to Young. I forget his first name, but I don't know. I think she maybe in her heart truly believes that Robert F. Kennedy is a transformative person and really wants to do good in the world, and maybe is blinded by that. But yeah, I think there is a little bit of blowback for her. They, especially I think even from the Curb people that are just like, yeah, she was always kind of out there a little bit. But it's not something that I hear a great prevalence of. But I don't know. She never seemed to me like she was somebody that would switch on a dime for money. But maybe there's something attractive about this guy, and it's the Kennedy lore or whatever.
It's a Kennedy.
It's a Kennedy.
Bobby Kennedy's her father-in-law.
Yeah, and so once you're in, I don't think you can back out. But I don't know that she did it for altruistic or extrinsic reasons, other than just being hypnotized by that fame or that.
I don't see them going to Kenny Bunkport anytime soon.
Yeah,
I mean, he's pretty much ostracized from the family.
Oh yeah, he's kicked out.
How long have they been married though? I'm gonna Google it.
5 or 6
years.
You
can come to Kenny Bunkport, but we're picking you up in a VW Beetle.
I spent a total of 4 hours I spent with him, with Robert Kennedy Jr., and they were 4 of the longest hours of my life.
Why so?
3 hours of it was on radio. Once it was, I take it back. It was a total of 3 hours. It was twice. I was filling in for Ron Owens' morning show. And he had already been booked as the guest, and I forget what the first thing was he was talking about. And the second time he came on, he was on some crusade to help people in the Appalachians, because they were so poor and didn't have health care and all of these other things, black lung and from coal and all this kind of stuff. And then and that same day, I was doing an ABC7 show in the afternoon. So I had all morning with him, and then I had him all afternoon on that show. And it was one of those interviews where it didn't matter what I asked. My eye, the answer made my eyes glaze over, and I over prepare when I'm doing an interview. I read everything I can get my hands on. I'm like James Lipton. Nobody's as good as James Lipton was, but I prepare like he prepared. I try to. And it was just, two hardest interviews I ever did. 2 of the 3 hardest interviews I ever did.
Was his voice like that then?
No, this is before. And actually, I had him on as a guest. I take it back. I had him on as a phone guest, too, one time when he wrote a book about how his cousin didn't kill Martha Moxley. His cousin went to jail for the Martha Moxley murder case 30 years after it happened, and he wrote this whole book about why he didn't do it. And that was the first time I heard his voice like that, and I thought that he had a cold or something. I didn't know. But 2 of the 3 hardest interviews I ever did were Kennedy's. It was him, and I interviewed Caroline. But Caroline was different in that she was just kind of maybe reserved is maybe the best way to put it. And I can understand that. I mean, having been, under the microscope from the moment she was born, but it was just a kind of,
distant.
Just a really kind of distant. I got her to lighten up a little bit because it was around the time when Neil Diamond claimed that Sweet Caroline was written about her. But the problem is she was like 3 years old at the time that he wrote.
That's Woody Allen territory.
But they're difficult to interview. With Kennedy, it was a filibuster. Kennedy was a filibuster every time. But with her, it was just she was just more. She had written this book of her mother's favorite poems, is what it was. And it's great television, by the way, might I add.
I get the sense he's a lot like Trump. They like to hear themselves speak. They fancy themselves intelligent and smart. And yeah, if you're an environmental lawyer, you have some education. You are smart, but that doesn't make you an expert in vaccines. It doesn't make you an expert in nutrition. It doesn't make you an expert in fluoride in the water. You just go on Instagram and see all these doctors like, you're talking about a level of 1.7% fluoride in the water. It's right now it's at a 0.07, which every study that's been peer reviewed, 0.07 actually strengthens your teeth. It's good for you. It's not going to make you quote unquote stupider. You literally do not know what you're talking about. Just the MMR thing again. Literally, even the guy who wrote it has disavowed it. Yeah,
that the MMR vaccine causes autism, and there are people. It's not just stupid people. There are highly educated people in wealthy areas, wealthy blue state. Hell, Marin County. I'm shocked at the number of anti-vaxxers in Marin County, which is if you're not familiar with it, listeners, viewers, it is
Marin County.
It's Marin County.
I live there.
Yes, that's where Tom is. The Bay Area. They're educated. They're wealthy. They're progressive, but they believe this crap. And that's why they had a whooping cough outbreak. In recent years, because whooping cough that my mother had in the 40s. They had.
Well, I did lose a friend out here who believed that teachers were assigning kids genders. And I was saying, who's funding this? And how come the kids are coming home and going, hey, I'm this now? And the parents will be losing their minds. So don't, I saw a video. It explains it all. I'll send you the video. I'm like, no. I'm not watching the video. Yeah. And because here's what I'm going to use against you. Common sense. All right.
Well, I'm still waiting for this woman that I know, who I know her through my cousin, because her kids go to school with my cousin's kids. I'm still waiting for her to send me the video that proves that they're letting kids identify as cats and poop in litter boxes.
Yeah. Wow.
Joe Rogan actually fell for that one too.
Wow. Can you get that, JJ? Can you pull that up? Wow.
I mean, they can't afford pencils, and now Trump only wants them to have 1 or 2, and
$2, not $250, $2. That's it.
Yeah,
no, my daughter had $250.
Much like
I'm sure you're asking for
gender reassignment surgeries and litter boxes,
it's ridiculous. Anybody Anybody who would believe that is somebody who's never had kids. You got to sign a permission slip for them to go to the zoo. The zoo is 1.5 miles away from where my kid's elementary school was, and I had to sign a permission slip, and there had to be like 50 chaperones to go along. But I could have had their gender changed without my permission. They could have their gender changed and left home girls and come home boys.
Yeah, and then what's the diabolical outcome? What's the plan with this Blofeld? Once the kids have all changed genders, my huge plan to sell dresses to everyone will.
Brilliant, master.
It's the radical left, Marxist, communist, leftist, socialist. I think plan. It doesn't matter what the goal is. It's their plan.
It's their plan. I think what it alludes to is that my friend's a teacher, and for example, a student was afraid to tell his parent or her parents that she was pregnant. And she's like, I want to tell you, and maybe you can help me tell them. He goes, no, I can't. I can't do anything with that information. I'll get fired. I'm glad that you told me, but you need to figure that out on your own. So that if a child goes to a teacher and says, I want to identify as a woman now, but can you tell my parents? And I'm like, no, I can't. So when they say, oh, the teachers are changing my kids, it's like, no, they were always, because you're crappy parents and you have such small parameters, they were afraid to come out to you or tell you that they want to transgender. That's what it's about. Not that their teachers are changing into that. It's that they were too afraid to tell you who they always were. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the things that people believe. But you're right. It's common sense. I mean, things that are just so. There are things that people believe, like the cat thing and the, going to school as a boy and coming home as a girl. They're just so ridiculous. You couldn't sell this in a script. You could not put this in a screenplay.
My favorite is when religious people, talk about gay people grooming or what's the other word for grooming?
Matt Weinhold had that great bit back when.
But you are literally raising your kid to be whatever religion you are. You are literally grooming your kid to be Jewish or Catholic or Muslim, and it's not like you're taking them around to all the churches, all the religions. Okay, Jimmy, next month it's we're gonna go to Scientology. See how you dig that. And then your 13th birthday, you get to choose what religion you want. Nobody's doing that. Ben Shapiro certainly isn't doing that.
No.
So once a week, there is a story of a youth pastor here that is on the run for what they've done to a child in the church. So, or there's like several congressmen from Tennessee who used to be youth pastors who are in their 60s, who are married to women that they met when that person was 14 years old. And as soon as they were 18, they married them.
Jerry Lee Lewis syndrome. But yeah, it is. Oh God, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's sort of what you were talking about, Tom. That grooming thing is. You're absolutely right. I for the opposite reasons, I showed my kids Life of Pi. I want to get them into Joseph Campbell and introduce them into religion as it pertains to all mythology, to show them all at once. And so Life of Pi is like a little small attempt to show that to the kids that there was things about the Muslim faith that he liked. There was things about the Hindi faith that he liked. There was things about Christianity that he liked. So he picked this boy in the movie, in the tale, picks and chooses what he feels God is. And it's not just one thing. And that's the way I would like to present it to my kids. It's like, you can go and discover that stuff on your own. I don't believe it's divine, and I'm not going to shove it on you. But if it happens to you, we'll talk about it.
That's lazy parenting. I love you, Carlos, but that's just lazy parenting. You tell them what they believe, and you tell them what their religion is. Right. Yeah. And then when you are no longer paying their bills and their college, they can be whatever the hell they want to.
Right. Tell you what it is.
Them a religion.
What I
give a religion.
Just like you tell them what they're eating for
my kid away.
I don't know how it's going to happen, but you don't do what I say, you're going to freaking see God. Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you. You're going to see God. Like that?
Hey,
this freaking guy, this disrespect. This is a gabagool.
You guys are laying me out today. We're out of time. Anything anybody want to plug? You got anything going on?
I'll be in the hub of measles in Oklahoma City, I believe, May 23rd through 25th. I've inoculated. It's current and it's good.
I just got a booster, by the way, too. Because I got my shot like in 1967, and it's no good anymore.
They said mine was good. We'll see. But Oklahoma City at a con, you can check out all my con activity. Watch Rock Paper Scissors on Nickelodeon coming to Paramount Plus in May. So that's two things that I can plug. Check out my Instagram and watch that cartoon. That's it.
All right. Anybody else? Anything you want to mention? Plug?
Well, I'm now selling my John Fetterman hoodies at half price. They're cotton, and they're really nice and keep you warm.
Are they American made? So there's no tariff?
Made by the Amish.
Sorry, they got going up.
They're going up. They're going way up.
As John goes down, my hoodies are going up.
Two things I want to plug. This Saturday, if you are in the Bay Area, in the East Bay in particular, at the Castro Valley Performing Arts Center, we're doing a big comedy show for Mother's Day called Lighten Up for Mother's Day. Headliner Frank Olivier, from Broadway, a million Tonight Show appearances. Joe Klosik is there. Lots and lots and lots of funny people. So if you want tickets, you can go to briancopeland.com where there is a link, or you can go to the website of the Castro Valley Performing Arts Center. Also, I want to mention that my second Topher Davis crime novel, Shadows of Justice, came out last Tuesday. It is available nationwide in the stores. You can order it online through from Target, from Walmart, from Amazon, anywhere that books are sold. So thanks, gang. I'm certain we will do this again very, very soon. So
I'll have a different hairdo.
Yeah.
You
And
like
a
one of
clean
those color
cat and
one of
dog.
those color forms. Remember color forms
Yeah.
where you can change the clothes and the hat, the whole
It's just
thing.
every time I go to my stylist, I'm like, I don't know my hair. He's like, girl, let's do this. And I'm like, okay. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have a perm next time.
what's happening?
What was the guy's name with the white man fro, the painter who passed away? What's his name?
Was it Bob?
Bob
Ross?
Ross. Thank you.
Bob Ross. Okay.
Yeah, he can come back and be
Nice.
Bob Ross. That's it. So,
So,
that's going to do it for us. We'll check you out next Thursday. If you like the podcast, or if you're watching us on YouTube and you want to support us, lots of ways you can do it. If you're watching us, please make sure that you like it. Make sure that you click like and that you
Thumbs
subscribe. Thumbs up, and that you subscribe, and that you tell your friends, send them links, especially if you happen to like a particular episode. Send it to them and say, check this out. If you're listening to us, go to your podcast provider and leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star review if you really like what it is that you're listening to, because that helps people to find the show. So until next time, be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.